Well, hopefully that won't take too long. Just quickly check the bot. There's live streams. There it is. Fantastic. So the stream's up, the chat's up, we're all good to go. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the final round of the PS4 Tier 1 F2 series here on Race Spec Esports. We're here at Abu Dhabi at the Yas Marina circuit. Only 10 cars for tonight's race, but there is a championship battle to look out for between GeForce F1 Wogboy and Spilly. The two currently separated by 15 points with Wogboy in front, meaning that in order for Spilly to win the Drivers' Championship, he would need to outscore Wogboy by 16 points in this round. Now, if this was normal Formula 1, that would be quite a difficult task for Spilly to try and pull off. However, in Formula 2, where in a single round you can score up towards 48 points, there is a real chance that Spilly can claim the Drivers' Championship. But he needs a good session here in one-shot qualifying if he wants to try and pull this off, because if you manage to qualify on pole, you get a bonus 4 points, and I believe Spilly has invalidated, which is why he has dropped down to last place. Let's have a look. Oh, he's retired from the session. That is quite unbelievable in the context of the championship. Now, if Wogboy can snag pole position, then Wogboy will gain an extra 4-point advantage, increasing his lead over Spilly up to 19. At the moment, our top driver is GeForce Crossy. He's making his way through the third sector, coming around the most iconic part of the racetrack, the hotel, around turn 19, and coming towards the final two corners on the racetrack, turns 20 and 21. You can see riding on board, there's a lot of understeer with these cars. Compared to the Formula 1 cars, at least you have to be very patient. And as we can see there, GeForce Crossy qualifies on pole, doing a 1 minute 40. I didn't quite catch all of it. You can see about 10 seconds slower to what the Formula 1 cars are around here. So the pole time is a 1 minute 48.697. He's just under a tenth clear of ACW in second, and a bit under 4/10 clear of Wogboy, starting in a critical third place in the context of the championship. Plebs in fourth, The Rock in fifth, Roscoe Arm in sixth, The Gaming Wafer in seventh, Stone Tail in eighth, with GeForce Swaggy and Spilly disqualifying themselves from the session due to invalidating their lap times. For Spilly, this is incredibly critical towards the championship. He needs a solid result in this feature race here at Abu Dhabi if he wants any chance of beating Wogboy in the Drivers' Championship. To said feature race. In the meanwhile, this circuit, it's a 5.5 kilometer 21 turn racetrack. It was designed in 2009 by Herman Tilke and was supposed to be Herman Tilke's holy grail racetrack. This track costs $1 billion, and it's a somewhat literal and metaphorical sandbox for Herman Tilke. He could literally design anything, and out of that $1 billion budget, this is the best he could come up with. This is his holy grail racetrack. A racetrack that has provided great season finales since never, really. It's a horrendous racetrack in real life. Racing just doesn't seem to exist here, even though it's got everything that you would find in a good racetrack. It has long straights and heavy braking zones. It has very fast, high-speed corners. It has a very technical third sector. A lot of tight, twisty bends that test the chassis of the car. It has just about everything, but with all of its sort of perfection, that's what Tilke tried to aim with this circuit, sort of perfection. And unfortunately, because of that, the circuit itself has just got no character about it. And it's not at all a memorable racetrack. Or at least, it's not memorable for the right reasons. It's always remembered for the wrong reasons. It's almost as if Tilke got a checkbook of everything that's great on the racetrack, and he did that and ticked all the boxes. But the track still has no flavour, it has no soul, anything like that. It has nothing memorable about it. It's really quite unfortunate. Because surely you could design a track very similar to this for a lot less money. For $1 billion, the holy grail of racetracks. It's quite underwhelming, to say the least. But at least in the virtual world, I have seen some half-decent racing around here. You tend to see a fair amount of battling at the two most prominent overtaking spots on the circuit, that being turns 8 and turn 11 that come immediately after DRS zones. The rest of the racetrack, it's pretty much follow the leader sort of stuff, and you do have to be careful with track limits and gathering penalties, and also be careful in the first sector with the car, with the car stepping out, sliding off into the runoff area, and potentially have a meet and greet with one of the tyre barriers lining the racetrack. Coming underneath the highlight of the racetrack. Really, the highlight of a racetrack shouldn't be a building on it. This is the only memorable part of the entire circuit, is the fact that the cars go underneath the hotel. It's pretty cool, not gonna lie, but it's the only bit of character on this entire racetrack. Quite disappointing. Now, tyre situation, got an almost split field here. 6 drivers on the super soft tyre, 4 drivers on the soft compound, Plebs being the highest place of those in 4th. So he's planning to get a good start, maybe make up a position or two if he can, and try and hold on in the early stages of the race. Try and do an overcut on the rivals around him. We'll see how that all pans out though, as we have 5 red lights. And it's lights out, and away we go for the feature race here at Abu Dhabi. And that's a brilliant start from Wogboy. He might go the inside here, and I'm surprised he didn't, really. He had a superb run off the line. He could have really sent it there, but a bit wiser there, Wogboy decides to not go for it. Through the high-speed bends of turns 3, then into turn 4, and into the tight and clumsy chicane of turns 5 and 6, and then into the hairpin of 7. The midfield, though, making their way through turn 6. See Spilly there making up 4 positions off the start. No, making 3 positions. He's side by side with Roscoe Arm, though, down the incredibly long straight towards turn 8. He's sitting in the slipstream of the rock, which is definitely helping, and he gets past. He's into 6th place. And looking behind, will Roscoe Arm go for a move here? No, he won't. The rock breaks early, so Spilly goes wide into turn 8. He has the inside for 9. The rock on the outside, getting on the curb, can't get the traction down. There's Roscoe Arm exploring the track limits at the exit of turn 9. So Spilly up into 5th place from starting 10th. A superb start, and the start that he really needed. Bit of side-by-side action through the chicane. Swaggy trying to make a few moves, can't make him stick unfortunately, but he's right behind the rock, ready to battle for that 6th place. Heading towards turn 17, he might have a go. No, he won't. He will sit in behind underneath the hotel for the first time. No one making any mistakes. I haven't seen an end plate or any bit of wing fly off. No one's made any sort of catastrophic error as of yet. So a very clean, very controlled first lap as we proceed to have the leaderboard glitch, as we always do on the 3rd lap of every race. As rather, the 2nd lap of every race. We'll jump up to lap number 3 for whatever reason, and they haven't quite patched it yet. Oh, a bit of side-by-side action here. Gaming Wafer and I believe the Stone Towel. Having a bit of side-by-side fun there. Oh, and a spin. That is Roscoe Arm. Said you did have to be cautious through the first sector. Incredibly easy to spin out and have a meeting with one of those tyre barriers. And that meeting has resulted in a broken end plate on the left-hand side of that front wing. So he'll have to come in and get that replaced. Crossy leading the second place. Down the inside goes Spilly, making a move on Plebs. That is for 4th place. His next target is ACW. Ignore that DRS prompt there. It's only lap 2, it's not lap 3. So drivers don't quite yet have DRS. Through the 3rd sector now. Tight, technical, very twisty, follow the leader sort of stuff through here. But it's a place that can easily catch you out. In the background we have a bit of squabbling as the Rock gets the first penalty of the night. Stone Talon, the Gaming Wafer, having a battle for 8th place. We just have to wait for the intervals to correct themselves when they cross the start-finish line. Crossy is under a lot of pressure from Wogboy in 2nd. ACW, excuse me, not too far behind in 3rd. And I reckon Spilly is within 1 second of ACW. Should get DRS on this lap. And sets fastest lap while he's at it to 1:52.393. Currently the quickest driver on the racetrack, and his assault through the field has definitely shown that. Around the high-speed S's, down the hill towards turns 5 and 6. Oh, Spilly just missing the apex of turn 5. Just letting Plebs close on him here. Plebs just showing his nose, getting to the apex at the hairpin. Can't really get a move done there though. Right on board with Plebs. See the cars fairly even. Not really able to make any sort of gains, as the 3 in front haven't changed position either. So it's Crossy who goes still leading, Wogboy in 2nd, ACW in 3rd. And we're going to have DRS open again. Wogboy, can he attack? Swaggy gets a 3-second time penalty. Wogboy is gaining and gaining and gaining. Crossy goes defensive, then moves back onto the racing line. Wogboy, he was not quite close enough to attack then. He had to settle for 2nd, missing the apex cell at 13. Fortunately, ACW couldn't find an opportunity to get by, but you can see the gaps slowly opened up there. There's a small gap open between Crossy and Wogboy. A little bit of locking up into turn 17. Roscoe becomes the 3rd driver to get a 3-second time penalty. Look at this, the top 5 incredibly close, and the best placed out of all of them is Plebs for sure on that soft compound tyre. I would not be surprised if he goes on to win this race, to be quite frank. Being on the alternate strategy, he is going to be lightning quick at the end of this race. And he's fully maximising the soft stint as well, keeping up with the leaders. So he's in a fantastic position. Same with Swaggy. He's only 1.7 seconds behind Plebs. If he can keep that margin, he might be on for a 2nd place finish, but we'll have to wait and see. Into the pits goes Roscoe. He'll get a front wing change, get off those super soft tyres, go onto the softs and go on to the end of the race. Meanwhile, Crossy, Wogboy, ACW, Spilly and Plebs, P1 through 5, all in this lovely train heading down the straightaway towards turn 8. Wogboy has enough momentum to get by Crossy into turn 8. Gets the move done, but Crossy will or should be able to counter-attack using the DRS through turn 10, heading towards turn 11. Well, not quite, I think. Not quite close enough to attack Wogboy. ACW, though, looks racy. Doesn't go for a move. Spilly down the inside. An audacious move there. Doesn't pay off, though. He stays in 4th place. Or ACW a bit squirrely at the exits of 13 through 14. Then heading through turns 15, then turn 16, then the 90-degree right-hander of 17. But you can see there, Spilly so much deeper on the brakes. Carried a lot of momentum into the braking zone, went into the gap down the inside, but didn't have enough momentum to carry out the move. So he's still in 4th. And into the pits they go. Top three go in, Spilly stays out. Plebs stays out as well as he's on the soft tyre, same with Swaggy, and he's now caught up to Plebs. That gap well under a second. Oh, and a squirrely moment there for the Arden of Spilly. It could have been a championship-changing moment, that, but thankfully he caught it. Still leading the way, but he's going to be vulnerable to these two cars behind down the long straight before turn 8. I reckon Plebs is going to easily overtake Spilly. He's going to open DRS and have a lot of momentum on his side. Oh, he's gaining and gaining and gaining, but he's not quite close enough to attack just yet. Swaggy, on the other hand, sends it and collides with Spilly. Half spins the car and loses a whole heap of time. Thankfully not too much for his sake. So he's still within DRS range, but Spilly, that would have been a heart and mouth moment there for him. Oh, and around the outside goes Plebs. Oh, Codemasters, you're not doing me justice with the camera angles, for Christ's sake. Oh, yeah, there's an overtake going on, so you go to a front wing camera. Well done, Cody's. Really showing your stripes there. Spilly, gonna look around the outside, can't make it stick there, Sunshine, don't have the grip. But to be quite frank, neither does Spilly. Those super soft tyres looking a bit all over the place. Around turn 19, a corner that can catch drivers out. I've seen drivers go into the Armco barrier on the outside there on a few occasions, but I imagine Spilly is going in. There he goes. Into the pit lane for his mandatory pit stop. There goes the two leaders of Plebs and Swaggy. That means the Gaming Wafer takes third place, and the Stone Towel should overtake Spilly and the Rock. They certainly do. He's into fourth place on the alternate strategy. Meanwhile, Wogboy is in front of Crossy. Crossy was the leading car in this group. He's now second in the group. And he needs to stay with Wogboy, which he isn't doing. And Spilly is still in the pit lane. He's going underneath turn 1 as I speak. So he's a ways behind these guys. And has he made a mistake? Wait, what? How did he end up here? VSC, as you can see, has been deployed. What on earth? I can't quite piece this one together. He was going underneath turn 1, and now he's here. What? And then he ended up in the tyre barrier. We're back on the green flag racing, but that will end Spilly's championship chances. With the gap as it is, even if... well, mathematically he's still in it. Oh, he's left the session. He's not going to be participating in the following races. So it's championship over for Spilly. It appears to be that in the end of this. But that is a bit of an enigma, that is. He was... How do you end up there leaving the pit lane? He must have reset to circuit or something. And he teleported there. I don't quite know. Or maybe he had a game crash because he has been going through those recently, and maybe that's how the game interprets a game crash. I'm not quite sure, but he's out of this race. And that crash brought out a virtual safety car. No one's pitted. No one's taken advantage of it. So, with the championship no longer... we don't have to worry about the championship anymore, I should say. We can worry about the racing on track. Swaggy using DRS gets by Plebs into turn 8, then through turn 9. Plebs just might be able to counter-attack through 10, heading towards turn 11. Opens DRS, maybe not quite close enough to attack. Well, let's have a look. Gaining, gaining, gaining. No, not quite close enough, unfortunately, but if he can keep with him, excuse me, he might be able to attack next lap. Wogboy steadily pulling away from Crossy. Gap 9/10 of a second. Crossy with that DRS closes the margin slightly as Swaggy gets another 3-second time penalty, increasing it to 6. But it seems that Wogboy has the measure of both Crossy and ACW at this stage. A bit of a lock-up there from both the G-Force drivers. Heading underneath the hotel once again. The leaders are currently on their 8th lap. These guys still on their 7th. Oh, dearie me. That trident of ACW looked a bit sideways there at the exit of turn 19. I might be wrong, that could be just the nature of the camera angle. Wogboy, Crossy setting new fastest lap with a 52.075. Heading through the high-speed S's. See, they're going off throttle at several points through that. You don't do that in an F1 car. You can take those relatively flat out. And these, you quite simply can't do that. Get off the throttle, let the car settle. Otherwise, there's going to be a massive amount of understeer or a massive amount of oversteer that just catches you out. Thankfully for Crossy, he still has DRS, but ACW is on the back of him here, heading towards turn 8, looks around the outside into the braking zone. Can he keep it there? He does. Into turn 9. This is a horrid camera shot, Cody's. Come on. I don't need curb cam when I'm trying to watch a overtake from an outboard. Dearie me. Heading towards turn 11. Right in behind ACW's gearbox. Can't quite make the move stick. So ACW into 6th place. Wogboy steadily pulling away from these two. Turning what was a 3-horse race into a 2-horse race. But maybe ACW can put the hammer down and close in on Wogboy, and the battle can resume once more. Towards the front, Swaggy leading the way. Opens up a small margin over Plebs, 7/10 of a second. Swaggy now 9 seconds worth of penalties. He's not doing himself any sort of favours with these. ACW new fastest lap, 1 minute 51.854. He's about a 1/10 and a half quicker than what Crossy was on the previous lap. So ACW has got some good car speed underneath him. Through the high-speed S's. Towards the chicane. Purple to the first sector is ACW. Oh, and that's Prezzo. That's a Stone Towel having a moment, and he gets out of the way. Letting these guys through. So long as he keeps driving, Prezzo will be on for points. He won't mind that too much. But you can see that Crossy's lost a fair amount of time to ACW. What's happened there? Was he caught up with the Stone Towel? Did I miss something at that chicane? Or did he have a moment by himself? I'm not sure. Either way, he's now 1.7 seconds behind ACW. Really takes himself out of the fight for 4th place at the moment. Of course, the 3 drivers in front of Wogboy are yet to pit. They probably won't pit until about lap 12 as Prezzo, the Stone Towel, gets a 3-second time penalty. Turn 15 into turn 16, then 17. These two closing in on each other. Gap now half a second. So ACW showing he's not just going to lie down and let Wogboy walk away with this. He's going to put up a fight. Around the final corner. Roscoe on a 3-second time penalty there. multiple warnings. New fastest lap for ACW, 1 minute 51.660. About 2/10 quicker than his previous lap. So these soft tyres coming into their own at this stage. With the lightening car, with it constantly dumping fuel, becoming lighter and lighter and lighter, these tyres will become quicker and quicker and quicker. But I can only imagine how quick the top three will be on those fresh, super soft tyres. The RS open for ACW, he'll close in on Wogboy here, but he won't close in close enough to attack. Meanwhile, Plebs is keeping Swaggy honest. He's staying within a second. Precisely what he needs to do. ACW on the back of Wogboy, 6/10 of a second separating the two. Closes in a bit more. Not close enough to attack. Purple to the second sector, looking up through 11 into 12 and 13. Nice and steady there from ACW, hitting his marks. Both drivers driving really, really well. Abu Dhabi is not exactly the easiest circuit to drive around, even in Formula 1 cars. Swaggy into the pits, and that's a 5-second penalty, increasing his total to 14. Wafers into the pits as well. And he too gets a 5-second penalty for speeding. I guess these guys don't know it's 60 kilometers an hour when you enter the pits. It's not 80 like in the Formula 1 cars. But there goes Wogboy and ACW, well out in front of Swaggy and the Gaming Wafer. Prezzo, that's a 5. My word, they're all getting 5-second penalties at the moment. Dearie me. You can see here, riding on board with the lap, if you compare this to the F1 cars that we watch around here, seriously considerable speed difference, and you can hear ACW getting a lot of wheel spin on the exit. He actually lost time to Wogboy there on the exit. Just lost a little bit of time. See there, 312 kilometers an hour. These cars definitely aren't slow. The RS open again. Wogboy holding on to a half a second lead, heading into the braking zone at 300 kilometers an hour. Down to second gear for turn 11, then through turn 12, very easy to get a warning through there. Turn 13, very easy to lose the back end through there. And through here at 14, I've seen a couple of drivers do it in the F1 cars, is losing the back end, spinning off into the inside tyre barrier. A lot of locking up here, I've noticed, through 17, underneath the hotel, just about opening up the road as much as you can, try and carry as much speed as possible. Into the pits goes Plebs, so he'll be the final driver to make their mandatory pit stop. Around the final corner, you can see how patient you have to be with the car, with your throttle input, with your braking input. There is a sort of delicacy to how you are supposed to drive these things. Though there will be drivers out there who have enough talent to grab this car by the scruff of its neck and really throw them about. Now Swaggy at the moment is really quick on those tyres. He's purple to the first sector. Those are the two leaders we can see going around the hairpin. Swaggy's on top of it at the moment. He's very, very quick. He made an undercut on Plebs. And look at that margin, 4.1 seconds. But he has a massive 14 seconds worth of penalties. He's definitely not winning this race under any circumstances. Unless magically the top 4 or 5 crash out. He's definitely not winning this race. Not with those pens. But at the moment he is quick. And he's making the super soft tyres work. He's now only 2.8 seconds behind ACW. He can get into the mix for the race for the lead, even though With those penalties, he'll ultimately be demoted down the field. There's Plebs in the background trying to close in. He doesn't have any penalties next to his name, so he's looking good. Wafer and The Rock having a bit of a scrap for 6th place. Prezzo has left the session. Hopefully he'll be able to join back. Looking at penalties, Gaming Wafer not looking good. The Rock looks like he's going to get 6th place, but although Wafer's on those fresh super soft tyres, if he can pull out a 5-second lead over The Rock, he just might be able to hang on to 6th place. You never know. Plebs now only 3 seconds behind G-Force Crossy. We just saw then Swaggy set the fastest lap of the race on those fresh super soft tyres. He's now only 2.3 seconds behind ACW and Wogboy. Now I imagine he'll gain a fair amount of time on the exit of turn 7, this corner right here. Those softer tyres should give him better traction at the exit. And he does gain a bit, but that DRS sort of nullifies the effect. Gap opens up to 2.2, 2.3 seconds towards the double hairpin / tight chicane of turns 8 and 9. It's a very weird corner complex. I'm not quite sure if it's supposed to be a tight double hairpin or some sort of awkward chicane. Either way, Swaggy not gaining a lot of time in the second sector. This is where he has to make up all of the time, is in the third sector. This is where the mechanical grip of the super soft tyre really comes into its own. You should be able to brake later, get on the throttle earlier, and generally take the corners quicker, allowing him to close in. And that's definitely what he's doing. The gap is now under 2 seconds, now 1.7 rather, heading underneath the hotel. Around the final 2 corners, gap still hovering around about 1.7. So he's closed in on the 2 in front. He needs to find another half second this lap, I reckon. That way on lap 15 he'll get DRS and he just might be able to fight it out for the lead, even though it's ultimately for nothing. Plebs is on the back of Crossy now. Gap is 1.1 seconds. There he is. Oh, very wide there, using all of the track limit. Around the chicane, the gap is closed up and Plebs should get DRS, and I reckon he will. Round turn 7. There it is there. Bars filling up. He'll activate it and he'll close in on Crossy here. Gap is closing 5 tenths of a second. 4 tenths of a second. Under brakes. It's now 3 tenths. Needs a good run through turn 9. Somewhat awkward run through there. Loses a bit of time. Loses a bit of ground. Opens DRS again. On those fresher tyres, he should be able to brake deeper, but he'll get it done before the braking zone. Or not quite. At the braking zone is where he'll get it done. And he gets passed into 4th. Now he has to try and catch up to the 3 in front. Does he have enough laps remaining in order to do that? We'll have to wait and see. The Swaggy is 100% on the back of this now. 8 tenths behind ACW. He should get DRS on this lap. He's done exactly what I thought he should do. He's gained up enough time so he's within DRS range of ACW. They're going to cross the line and it's 2 laps to go in this feature race. Wogboy leading the way, half a second to ACW. Then behind him, 6 tenths behind to be exact, is G4 Swaggy on those super soft tyres. Then 3.6 seconds separates him to Plebs on slightly fresher super soft tyres. But I don't think Plebs is going to play too big a part in this. I reckon he's on for a podium, but I don't think he'll be able to fight for the win. Unless it's a magical 2 laps from Plebs, I don't think he'll be in any sort of hope for a victory here. Heading towards turn 8. Does Swaggy send it? Not quite, but he is deep on the brakes. Through turn 9, he just needs a good exit out of here, and he does so. He's well in behind, opens DRS again. Now what does ACW do here? Does he just stay on the racing line? Does he defend? Stays on the racing line. I reckon Swaggy was thinking about it though. But maybe, from Swaggy's point of view, maybe he won't battle for it. He knows he won't get it in the end. Or maybe he's just waiting for a last lap dive bomb for him to really send it. Now ACW is all over the back of Wogboy. Wogboy made a teeny weeny mistake at turn 14, which has resulted in him losing a few tenths to ACW. Going underneath the hotel, the gap is only 0.2 of a second between the top two. Really close stuff at the moment. Around the final 2 corners, the top 3 go to begin the final lap in this feature race here at Abu Dhabi. 3 cars, 0.6 of a second separating them. Plevs, he's in 4th place, a fair ways behind. He's looking at a 3rd place finish due to Swaggy's penalties. But the battle for the win is definitely not over between ACW and F1 Wogboy, as Swaggy gets another 3-second time penalty. And Swaggy wants to get involved in this. He wants to cross the line first. And down the inside, an audacious move from Swaggy, disrupting the rhythm of ACW a little bit, and he loses time to Wogboy. This just might have handed GeForce Wogboy the win here. That very move at turn 7. And what does Swaggy do? Does he overtake F1 Wogboy? No, he doesn't. He stays in behind at turn 8 into turn 9. And heading around turn 10, Swaggy, is he in a position to attack? Wogboy defends that inside line there, gaining on the race leader, heading towards turn 11, and he doesn't go for the move. Now through the technical 3rd sector, Wogboy, he might not, or, hang on a minute. Oh, sorry, no, that was the gaming wafer. I completely read that wrong. Wogboy around the final couple of corners with a comfortable margin in the Drivers' Championship. You come around the final 2 bends to not only take victory in the feature race here at Yas Marina, he also claims the Drivers' Championship in Formula 2. Well done, F1 Wogboy. He wins the championship and a fine victory. Just wonder what ACW has to think about that move at turn 7. It ultimately ruined any chances of him winning this race. And although Swaggy was fighting for position, those penalties were ultimately going to demote him elsewhere. I just wonder how he would feel about that. Regardless, Plebs finishes in 3rd, GeForce Crossy in 4th, Swaggy demoted down to 5th place, The Rock in 6th, Gaming Wafer in 7th, Roscoe Arm making his way round the final couple of corners to finish in 8th, which will mean a pole position start in the sprint race here at Abu Dhabi. Bit of sideways action across the line, that's not too bad. But who has the game given driver of the day to? It's given it to GeForce Swaggy. The AI having a bit of a fit there. There we go. Wogboy taking the victory here under lights at Yas Marina. Taking the feature race win and also the F2 Drivers' Championship. ACW finishes in 2nd and Plebs in a fine 3rd place. We'll see how this all pans out in the sprint race, shall we? With the reverse grid and all, it'll be very interesting to watch. Crossy in 4th, Swaggy in 5th, The Rock in 6th, Gaming Wafer in 7th, Roscoe Arm in 8th, Stone Towel apparently classified in 9th, although I didn't see him rejoin the session, so I'm not sure. And a spectacular retirement to the only rival to Wogboy in the Drivers' Championship, Spilly. I don't know how he ended up there, but it is quite frankly spectacular. In the pit lane, then somehow he got outside of the pit lane and then appeared to drive completely into the wall. I'm not quite sure what happened. I'm sure Spilly has something to say about it. I have no doubt after such a weird accident like that. Alrighty then, now it's time for the sprint race. So, in this race, there is no mandatory pit stop requirement. Basically, bolt on the soft tyre and send it to the end. There's really nothing else to it. This race is supposed to be sort of the drama fest that F2 is sort of renowned for with the reverse grid format. So hopefully for the final race of the season we see a bit of spicy racing somewhere in the field. Be quite nice to watch. But the drivers are now making their way around on the formation lap. Only 11 laps this time around. And it appears we do have both Arden cars still in the lobby. Although they are both ghosting, so they're not actually here. So only 8 cars in this race. And as we can see, everyone is on the soft compound. So we'll probably just keep it on... Actually, we'll keep it on penalties. We don't really need to keep it on position change. We'll just keep an eye on penalties, shall we? So it's only an 8-car field for this, with VSR Roscoe Arm at the front of the field, starting on pole position, with the Gaming Wafer alongside. The Rock F1 in 3rd, GeForce Swaggy in 4th. He's going to be almightily quick in this race. However, he does need to keep those penalties in check. GeForce Crossy in 5th, Plebs in 6th, ACW in 7th, and Wogboy with all the work to do, the newly crowned Drivers' Champion, starting from 8th place. See if he can put on a fine showcase for us. Show us why he is Drivers. But, drivers making their way around the 3rd sector. It's one of the annoying things with F2. Very, very long formation laps, from what I've noticed. You notice from the lap times there, 1 minute 40 odds, 1 minute 50 odds in race conditions. So the out laps, the formation laps, you're looking at about 2 minutes, maybe 20, maybe 30 seconds. It's very, very long. But yeah, not much else to talk about really. Drivers' Championship has been wrapped up. Field of 8 cars. Just leave it up to drivers to do all the talking for us, shall we? Around the final corner go the leaders. They will all line up into their respective grid slots, and we can get the final race of this season underway. Just be waiting on the 2 Arden cars at the back of the field to line up. There we go. Fantastic. So, for the final time in this Formula 2 series on Race Spec Esports, we have 5 red lights, and it's lights out. And away we go for the sprint race here at Yas Marina. Seems that the AIs at the back of the field get a decent start, but Roscoe Arm is the one leading the way. Swaggy forcing the issue, moving himself into 3rd place. Side-by-side action between Plebs and ACW in the background. Through the high-speed S's, Into turn 3, then turn 4, side by side still is ACW and Plebs. Heading into the chicane, turns 5 and 6, still side by side, these two. Seem to be attached to each other at the moment. Round turn 7, and this time Plebs gets out in front. ACW has to relinquish 6th place and drops down to 7th. Swaggy forcing the issue. Wanting 2nd place here. He is side by side with the Gaming Wafer. There's Roscoe defending the inside. Where does the Wafer go? Oh, and Roscoe's overshot it. So is the Gaming Wafer making contact. Roscoe completely cuts the chicane and gets a 10-second time penalty. A massive miscalculation there from VSR Roscoe, and he's vulnerable. What on earth is this? He's lost so much straight line speed. Is he trying to give up places here? Oh, side by side action between Swaggy and Crossy here. And they get through relatively okay. Down the inside goes Swaggy and Wafer. Can keep the job done. It's turn 15. Ooh, side by side. Can't help but cringe when you see cars go side by side through there. Into 17. Wafer tries to hang down the inside, but he can't quite make it stick. Underneath the hotel for the first time in this race. And ACW and Plebs still scrapping. What on earth are you fellas up to? Oh, and Plebs, you could see the nose of the Prima just down the inside. Oh, look how close he is to the gearbox of ACW. Fantastic stuff. Typical lap 2 glitch, which we tend to have. Just have to wait till the cars reach the first sector split and then everything should be fine. The current race leader, G4 Swaggy, doing a fine job through the chicane into the tight hairpin of turn 7. For Swaggy, there's one simple objective: break out of that 1 second margin to the Gaming Wafer game for whatever reason. Showing blue flags as Wafer has dropped out of the section. Oh good. Well, that's made Swaggy's job about 10 times easier, that has. Oh, and down the inside, Plebs! An audacious move. I think that was Plebs. I wasn't quite sure. I think it was though. I saw a red car just completely locking up into turn 8. There's been some funky moves tonight. Drivers not mucking around. They see a gap, they're definitely going to go for it. Through the 3rd sector now. Heading towards the hotel, locking up. There's Swaggy leading the way. And he hasn't pulled away from Crossy. And to just show how much pace Roscoe has, he's still with these guys in 3rd place. However, I feel like that 10-second penalty will stand. Cutting that chicane by that much, although he did give the positions away down the long straightaway just before turn 11. So we just might be able to get that removed, but I'm not sure. It was an almighty cut of the chicane, a massive lapse in judgment. Oh, dearie me, and running wide there too. You don't want to run out wide there. Car becomes really unsettled because it's incredibly bumpy at the exit of turn 3, using that runoff area on the exit. Crossy should get DRS here, and he does so. He'll open it, and that gap is just open to outside of 1 second. Needs to get back within it for the 2nd DRS detection zone at the exit of turn 9. In the background, everyone has DRS, so no one really able to overtake anyone at the moment. Everyone's sort of even as Swaggy weaving all over the racetrack, breaking the toe. It's a bit unnecessary, really. You'll lose more time doing that by other than letting the car behind get your toe. And Crossy, oh dearie me, decides to shoot himself in the foot. That's a 3-second time penalty. See him weaving all over the racetrack. You'd just be losing time doing that. to be honest. You'll lose more time doing that than just staying still and let the car behind you get a draft. And not only that, but you're also wearing the tyres out more. Anywho, oh, and a bit of a oh, never mind. What on earth is he up to? I mean, he has enough car speed to not bother with that. Oh, out wide, using all the curb. G-Force Crossy is very unorthodox driving at the moment. And he darts to the inside, then he darts back. Back to the inside and darts back, and here comes Crossy rather, gaining a fair amount of time. As Plez makes a move on Roscoe arm, locking up, and then we get the horrible camera shot with the curve cam. It's absolutely worthless, but the game uses it anyway. ACW on the back of Roscoe arm now, heading towards turn 11, and here comes Wog Boy. I'll make a move stick into the chicane. Still sort of stuck in behind these two in front. Now through the third sector. Bit of locking up there from Wog Boy. Understeers a bit wide. Loses a little bit of time to ACW and Roscoe arm. But all of these guys are within a second of each other at the moment. It is quite close at this stage. So penalties are going to be a massive factor at the end of this race. Lap 5 has now begun. Swaggy doing his best impression of Jean Girard from Talladega Nights, just weaving left and right all over the racetrack. Heading through turn 2, through turn 3. Gap now 0.6 of a second. Now 0.7 at the exit. There's Pleds just in behind. Looking racy is the Prema. Through turn 7. And a bit of a sideways moment for Crossy at the exit. And again, Swaggy doing a lot of weaving, a lot of tyre temp management. And here comes Plebs. Might attack here. Not quite. Crossy defends the inside line. Wog Boy, Roscoe Arm and ACW having a scrap for 4th. Through turn 9. Heading towards turn 10. DRS open once again. ACW doesn't have any DRS to play with. And here comes Plebs around the outside at turn 11. Can't make it stick there. And Crossy keeps 2nd place for now. Around the marina section, the 3rd sector. Plebs is all over the back of Crossy here as Wafer has rejoined the session. Locking a little bit on the brakes there. Crossy defending the inside line. His line will be compromised. The Plebs had nowhere to go. He didn't quite react in a well enough way to Crossy having his moment. He turned for the apex way too early. Lost so much speed at the mid corner. That he lost so much time to Plebs and also to Swaggy. He now gains it back. In turn 1, the interval disappears as Wafer has rejoined the session. There's ACW just in behind. There's F1 Wog Boy just in behind him. Using all the circuit as Plebs. Not afraid to use the runoff area on the outside. Through the chicane. Plebs move to the outside the lap prior to try and get the move done on Crossy. Perhaps he would like to try a more inside route this time round. He opens DRS. Crossy closing the door though. He's not going to let him through on the inside. Not that easily. So he's going to look around the long way into turn 8. Can he keep it there? He does. Can he keep it there for turn 9? He most certainly does. A superb bit of racecraft there. And a nice bit of respect as well from Crossy. Just to understand the situation, just back off a little bit to let him through. Heading towards turn 11. And there's ACW. Just in behind Crossy. So is Wogboy. A 5-way fight for the lead is most certainly on. And when they cross the line, we have 5 laps to go. How fitting is that? Through the third sector. There's Roscoe. He's not too far behind us as well, but that 10-second time penalty definitely takes him out of the running. And so does that 3-second penalty that G-Force Crossy has. Oh dear, what has happened here? A whole bunch of cars just clumping together. Side-by-side action. That is Wogboy and Crossy. Crossy losing the position. Roscoe Arm now in behind. Oh, a bit of a lag spike there. Crossing the line, beginning lap 7. So all of these guys really close to each other. Really, really close, but not really able to attack one another just yet. Seen a few battles here and there, but Swaggy doing a good job holding on to his lead. But he hasn't done quite enough to get out of that 1 second range. Plebs is still within that, and he will get DRS. And Swaggy will proceed to weave all over the racetrack as a means of breaking the tow. But you can see there Plebs gains 0.3 of a second on that straight alone. And down the next straight, round turn 10. Down here again. Plebs won't mind that too much. Look at that, half a second now separating the two. As Crossy and Roscoe Arm have a bit of a scrap, and that puts these two outside of a 1 second margin to the top 4. See, that's the problem with battling too early. Pulling the trigger too early will mean that you drop away from the people in front of you. And that's ultimately what's happened here. You need to time your battles. You can't fight all the time. Because if you do, you just miss out on an opportunity to battle for the lead. Oh, and a moment there for the Rock in the background. Heading around turn 19 rather. Now beginning lap 8 of 11. Swaggy still leading the way. Heading through turn 1. Through the high-speed S's once again. Plebs hasn't made too many inroads on Swaggy as of late. But perhaps if he can just string a good lap together, he might be able to get close enough to attack. As the Rock and Crossy now get some more penalties, increasing their totals to 6 each respectively. Once again, Swaggy moving left and right across the racetrack, trying to break that toe. Swaggy's now going to be under a fair amount of pressure here. Plebs is pretty close now. Here we go, heading towards turn 11. Swaggy's probably going to defend, not quite. Plebs not quite close enough to attack. ACW now under a bit of pressure from Wogboy. Those two might start to battle, which will mean these two will pull away. Heading through the highest speed right-handers in the third sector towards turn 17. Bit of locking up there. See the massive amount of rubber being laid down. All the drivers not using ABS. Plebs quite close to Swaggy. I wonder if that weaving has resulted in an increase in tyre wear, meaning that the drivers behind have slightly better tyres, might have better late race pace. Wogboy is the quickest out of the bunch, 1 minute 51.272. Very interesting prospect for the final couple of laps of this race. 4 drivers very much in with a shot here. One mistake, one penalty, and that throws them out of contention. Just a game of margins at this point. Can't afford to go over them. Heading towards this long DRS straight. Plebs, he'll gain and gain and gain. He's not going to be close enough to attack. ECW, he has Wogboy closing in on him. Through the chicane, slash hairpin, or tight double hairpin on turns 8 and 9. Back here, Crossy and Roscoe having a bout. This is for 5th place on track. Ultimately, Roscoe will be demoted down though because of his accumulation of penalties. Through the chicane, you can see Crossy had a far better run, but Roscoe with his track position was able to park the car on the apex and not let Crossy by. Will Crossy fancy himself for an overtake here? I've seen some drivers go for it. Not quite, he just sits in behind. Oh, he might have a go here though. But Roscoe getting another penalty. That's 16 seconds worth of pens. Dear me. So 2 laps to go in this F2 championship season. The final 11 kilometers of this race. We have 4 drivers in with a shot of victory. Swaggy's leading the way. 7/10 margin to Plevs, who really hasn't been able to make any inroads on Swaggy, other than a few laps prior where he got fairly close. Wasn't able to make any sort of opportunity out of it. He's close again, but you can see there Swaggy gets a fairly decent exit out of 7. Allowing him to pull away just a little bit from Plebs on corner exit. Plebs gains down this long DRS straight. Round turn 8 though. Did Swaggy just make a mistake then? I just looked away ever so briefly, and I reckon he did. Plebs has got DRS and he is gaining. He's going to have to look the long way though. Heading into turn 11, can he make the move stick? No. Swaggy hangs on. Oh, but he tries to get the switch back, does Plebs. Doesn't work though. Swaggy hangs on, and that brings these 2 back into the fight. Heading through the 3rd sector, that's a massive moment. What can ACW do with this? Well, he's got momentum, but he can't make any sort of move. You can see there, a massive moment there for Plebs. Very lucky to catch it. Good showing in car control. Unfortunately for ACW, he couldn't make anything out of it. He's still in 3rd. There's Wogboy, just chilling in behind, waiting for his opportunity. So it's time for the final lap, the final 5.5 kilometers of this race and this championship. 0.8 of a second separate the top 2. Now that's opened up a little bit. Now 0.9. If Swaggy can break out of a second here, he might just clinch victory. No, he won't. Plebs needs a really good exit through here, out of turn 7. He does. It's a pretty decent exit, doesn't lose too much time. He opens DRS. ACW as well, there's Wogboy just in behind. Gap closes, 0.6. 5.5, 5/10 into the braking zone of turn 8, and then into turn 9. All of these drivers need a good exit out of here, and all of them seem to get a pretty good exit. No one gaining massively, no one losing massively. Down the long back straightaway, heading towards turn 11. Is this going to be a do or die move here? No, it won't. Just be sitting in behind, following the leader sort of stuff. So what's Plebs got in mind here? They're all in with a shot of victory, and it's the final sector of the final lap of the final races in this season. Who's going to take victory? Is there going to be a last gasp move here? Swaggy hangs on underneath the hotel for the final time. There's ACW. He gets a 3-second time penalty. He's out. He cannot take victory. So can Swaggy hang on around the second to last corner? Coming up to the final corner. It's been a fine drive from G4 Swaggy. He takes the win. He takes victory in the sprint race here at Abu Dhabi. Plebs home in second, F1 Wogboy in third. ACW manages to hang on to fourth place, even with his penalty and with his frustrating spin out there. Bit of carbon fiber confetti at the finish line, as you can see. And a bit more just there. Now, we don't need fireworks, we just got a whole heap of carbon fiber confetti. It'll do. Wogboy given driver of the day from 8th place to finish on the podium. Not a bad way to cap off our championship winning season. But Swaggy stands on the top step. A fine drive, and it's another podium for Plebs. A third and a second place finish for him. You'll be pretty happy with that. And Wogboy, a first and a third. He'd be pretty happy with that as well. So there we go. Another race done, another championship wrapped up. And for the final race, it is G4 Swaggy who takes the win with Plebs in second, Wogboy in third, ACW in fourth, Crossy in fifth, The Rock in sixth, Roscoe Arm in seventh, and the Gaming Wafer in 8th place. So just looking at the overall weekend, it is Wogboy who comes out on top. Swaggy both on 27 points. ACW just 1 point behind on 26. 22 points for Crossy, 12 for The Rock. Gaming Wafer with 7. Roscoe Arm with 6. But there we go. Not bad, considering there was only 8 drivers for that sprint race. That wasn't too bad at all. Definitely a lot better than what real life produces around this racetrack. But yeah, there we go. So the Drivers' Championship, as you know, goes to G-Force F1 Wogboy, claiming it in the feature race after a stunning retirement for Spilly. I'm not quite sure what happened to him. I'd still like to know what happened to him, but yeah, very, very interesting. But that wasn't bad at all. And that almost concludes the season of racing on Race Spec Esports. Getting close to Christmas time, so we'll have a Christmas break and then we'll get going again. And maybe for the next F2 season we get to see these brand new Formula 2 cars. But for now, we have these things. This is going to be the final time we race these, probably. So we get to wave these off goodbye. And we get to play with the 2020 cars and their brand new tyre, which is going to be a bit different, I have no doubt. But that will conclude this stream and the Race Spec Esports Formula 2 Pacific Series Championship. But it's not the final race for Race Spec this season. That will be tomorrow night with the Elite and Global tiers respectively at Abu Dhabi, and that will end the Race Spec season. Oh wait, no, that's not tomorrow. It's on the Sunday, not the Saturday, the Sunday. I have to remember that. But yeah, I think that'll conclude it. So, until next time, I've been the Smeg. Thank you all so much for watching. And whenever the next time may be, see you then, and good night.